Garen, and finally, let's have a few words about Wayde van Niekerk. An amazing feat this weekend, running his first sub-10 in Bloemfontein and becoming the first athlete to run record times in the 100 meters, the 200 meters, and the 400 meters. An amazing achievement.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, he's going to be one of our medal hopefuls at the Rio Olympics later in the year. So he ran 9.98, which ensured that he'd broken the 10-second barrier for 100, the 20-second for 200, and the 44 for 400, and that's obviously never been done before.
Let me just remind the viewers there, sorry Garen, so yeah, 19.94 seconds in the 200 and 43.48 in the 400.
Yeah, so the first athlete to achieve that trifecta. Obviously there have been some fantastic athletes in all three of those disciplines, but he's the first to do them all. I was quite surprised he actually was that fast over 100. I didn't realize, he was that quick.
I think anybody did.
Yeah, we know him pretty much as a 400 meter athlete. That they typically don't run the 100 meters at all. You often get the 100 and 200 meter double, and the 200 and the 400 meter double. We think of like Usain Bolt in the 100 and the 200, and Michael Johnson in the past in the 200 and the 400. But no one's really attempted all three. I still think it's pretty impossible that he's going to do all three at the Olympics. It's just not enough time. The heats in all three, and they tend to clash, and there's no recovery time. So I think he was probably just playing around. He realized he was faster than he thought. He's obviously got some speed, which will help him at the end of.
Apparently helped by a little bit of a tailwind. I don't know.
Yeah, apparently so.
How much
and also there was a little asterisk in that Bloemfontein is 1,300 meters above altitude, and apparently the limit is 1,000 meters to record official times. So there's something, a little asterisk there. But still a fantastic achievement. Obviously it proves that he's in good form, which is great to know. He's got the speed, which if it comes down to the last sort of 100 meters of a 200 or a 400 meter race, he's going to be right there. So looking good for him, looking good for a medal, perhaps in at least the 200 or the 400, perhaps in Rio, to go along with our swimmers, who I think are going to be other medal hopefuls. So looking good so far for Rio.
Okay, a gold medal or just?
I think he'll be a gold medal contender, certainly in the 400. I'm pretty sure in the 200, Usain Bolt's gonna win there. But actually, South Africa have got faster, I think, 200 meter runners than Wayde van Niekerk. But certainly, his speciality event, he'll probably actually end up just focusing on the 400 and the 4x400 relay for South Africa. But he'll certainly be a contender. But the Olympics is a real different kettle of fish with all these heats and rounds and knockouts, and those guys are real runners. They don't just turn up there to have fun. It's serious business. They've waited 4 years. They've trained. The Americans will come. The Jamaicans will come with their strongest team, and it's going to be tough for him to win. But certainly a medal. I would be surprised if he's shut out of the medals completely in the 400.
Karen, another question I wanted to ask about Wayde van Niekerk. I get the sense that South Africans feel that he isn't getting as much media coverage as he deserves. I mean, do you agree with that, and why do you think that might be the case?
Yeah, I agree. He was the South African Sportsman of the Year last year, and a lot of people straight after this record feat and the trifecta and pointed to the Telkom ad that's currently been aired, that they spent a lot of money on Usain Bolt sort of fronting that advert, when he could have had Wayde van Niekerk doing so for far, far less, and keeping it proudly South African. But he seems to be sort of flying under the radar. It often is the case with individual sportsmen in South Africa. Everyone knows about the teams, rugby, cricket, soccer, national teams. But if you're just an individual, you often don't take part in South Africa. You're competing in Europe, and the results just nobody seems to know. You're running in smaller events. You're waiting for these individual events to come, and then there are just tons and tons of results from that meeting that you sort of get lost if you don't break a record or set a South African record. You sort of passes by. So it is very sad, but their individual athletes, their time to shine is an Olympic Games, Commonwealth Games. So certainly in the next couple of months we'll learn more about Wayde van Niekerk, and it won't be so much about the Springboks and the Proteas and Bafana and teams like that.
Well, I mean, Googling his name this morning, it pops up in publications around the world after this feat, so this is surely going to give his career a boost.
No, for sure, and I'm sure he was trending on Twitter and social media, but it's just that it'll probably only last for a morning or an afternoon or a day, and then he'll be unfortunately forgotten until the next time he competes. But again, we know when all the national teams are competing, we don't really know when Wayde van Niekerk is going to run again. So, but hats off to him. He's doing everything he needs to do to ensure a top performance in Rio.